Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling something big, a huge shift in Japan's defense policy. We're talking about a change that's going to completely redefine its role on the world stage. So to really get this, let's start with a story. Picture this, it's 1995. A Japanese official, in confidence, tells someone that they're going to relax the rules on defense exports soon. I mean that one word, soon. It basically set the stage for a 30-year-long journey of this really slow, super cautious change. Well, after 3 whole decades, that soon has finally arrived. The wait is over. Japan is now getting ready to get rid of the last of its self-imposed rules on selling defense equipment abroad. Okay, so, Section 1. A 30-year wait ends. We're going to look at how the Takaichi government is lifting these long-standing restrictions. Basically, we're talking about a new government making a really clean break from the past. Let's dig in. So what's the big deal here? Well, you've got the new Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi and her government, and they've teamed up with their coalition partner Nippon Ishin no Kai. Together, they've announced they're getting rid of the last of these restraints on defense exports. And look, this isn't just some small policy adjustment, no way. This is the end of an entire era, an era defined by these really significant self-imposed limits on what Japan could do.
But here's the thing, and it's a big one. This is about way more than just selling military hardware. As our source material really drives home, what we're seeing is a fundamental shift in the whole country's mindset.
And you can really see this change when you compare the old way of thinking to the new one, right? The old mindset was all about, oh, that's not possible, or nah, that's too hard. And that led to all these self-imposed restrictions and, a huge reliance on the United States. But now, the new mindset is all about recognizing what is possible. It's about Japan seeing itself as a, quote, normal country, one that can freely engage with other nations and really build up its own capabilities.
And you know what this means in practice? No more of what the source calls verbal gymnastics. Seriously, Japan won't have to tie itself in knots anymore, trying to come up with these super complicated reasons for its defense deals. Think back to that proposed submarine sale to Australia in 2016. That was a perfect example. Now things are finally getting straightforward. Okay, so let's talk about the ripple effect this is going to have around the world. We're talking industry, allies, and global security. This is where it gets really interesting. First up, economic opportunity. I mean, for the longest time, Japanese companies just didn't see defense as a big moneymaker. Why? Because their only customer was Japan. It was a tiny domestic market. But now, with exports on the table, that could totally flip the script. Businesses might start putting way more focus on defense hardware, and that could really beef up their whole defense industry. And number 2, this is a huge deal for strengthening alliances. Japan can now use defense exports to build tighter political and economic relationships. And it's not just a theory, it's already happening. They've given Coast Guard cutters to the Philippines, they've got an agreement for new destroyers with Australia, and they're even talking about selling retired destroyers to places like Indonesia and Vietnam. We're even hearing New Zealand mentioned as a potential customer. This is about building partnerships. And that brings us to the third point. This move allows Japan to step into a new role, to become part of what's known as the arsenal of democracy. Basically, a country that helps arm its friends and allies to keep everyone safer. And again, this is happening right now. Look at the situation with Ukraine. American supplies of certain weapons are getting low. So what happens? Japan steps up. They're sending their own Japan-built Patriot missiles over to the US. This refills America's stocks, which, indirectly helps Ukraine. It's a clever workaround, and it's a really vital form of support that might even lead to direct supplies down the road. So the big question is, why now? After 30 years of soon, what was the final key that unlocked this door? Well, the answer, as it so often is, comes down to politics at home. It really boils down to this, a tale of two coalitions. For a long time, the ruling LDP was in a coalition with the Komeito party, and the source describes them as a constant break on anything related to defense, basically anti-military. There were even allegations of influence from Beijing, but that partnership is over. Now the LDP has teamed up with Nippon Ishin no Kai, and these two are on the same page about strengthening defense. Suddenly, all those internal political roadblocks, gone. So, you take the new policy, you add in that huge shift in mindset, and you throw in the new political reality, and what do you get? It's pretty clear we are watching the start of a whole new era for Japan's place in the world.
There's a great quote from the source that just sums this all up perfectly. Things often go slowly in Japan, but they do go, even if it's at Japan speed. I love that. It might have seemed like nothing was happening for years, but it was. It was just moving at Japan speed. And even though it was slow, the result is a massive, profound transformation.
So where does that leave us? Well, it means a more confident, more capable, and a much more active Japan is now a player on the global stage. And that leads to the real question we have to ask ourselves now. As Japan steps into this new role, how is it going to reshape security, not just in Asia, but everywhere?